Hello, what is up, guys? It's your boy El Denuron here, and today we're playing Bleak Sword. I already went through the tutorial, so I'm gonna skip it. At the end of the Second Age. King Eric and the Prince. By the king's younger son, Prince Rael. They were betrayed by Rael. His mind was poisoned by a cursed blade. The Bleak Sword. And with that treason of the blood, the treason of the blood, the Red Age began. I'm really digging the aesthetic of this video game. An age of dark magic, dreadful abominations, and suffering. King Rael, the Bleak extended his reign for like 200 years, essentially. But veiled rumors were spreading through the years about 3 magical stones. Again, I'm really digging the aesthetic here. That held the power to destroy even the Bleak Sword. I feel like those stones are going to be a huge part of this game later on. A prophecy was revealed to a young warrior in a dream. The whereabouts of the stones was not a mystery anymore. Neither the Bleak Kings. Alright, so here we are on the first screen, and like I said, some of my initial thoughts on the design of this. The design itself, being all pixelated, kind of reminds me of another game called Downwell, if you guys have heard of it. It is this platformer where essentially you're falling down a well, as the game describes. And when you're playing it, you'll see that it is very pixelated. And I've always liked that aesthetic, because you can always do something really interesting with that type of aesthetic. This game takes that aesthetic and puts it in a 3D environment. So it's not only reminiscent of Downwell, but it's also sort of reminiscent of Minecraft in a way, having pixelated objects in a 3D environment, kind of the mixture of the old and new technology. But it's not all pixelated. As you can see, there are certain particle effects going around. So it's sort of a mixture. And earlier on, you had seen that there was smoke, and it was a high resolution texture. With that being said, on the aesthetics, I give it a 7 out of 10 for the medium that it's in. I feel like it could do a little bit better, but those are some damn nice aesthetics. Oh, and one thing. This is just the first review I'm doing of the several games that Apple Arcade has. I'm reviewing them, so you at home can, decide whether you guys want to play them or not. And with that being said, let's get on with, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mispronounce this, Yarkwood Forest. Alright. also be giving this game a score accessibility. Alright, so this game, like Downwall, will also give you items after completing certain levels. In this one, it gave me a leather bracelet, which is an equipable. Now this is new, to me at least. I did a run of the game earlier, and I got digestibles. But it seems like this one is an item that I will be able to keep, and I will accept it. And like I said, gorgeous animation, gorgeous choice of color. The red and the black really contrast each other, and I am loving it. I'm assuming this level 2, and oh yeah, you can't accept damage. It's go. Word of warning. Your health does not increase in the next level unless you find a digestible item, which is something I learned. So, you really want to try to not get as much damage as you can, because much like the Downwall, you will die if now what I'm doing right there is I'm tapping and then swiping. You tap in order to protect yourself from an attack. There we go. Before you kill me. I might die if I can't kill this spider. There we go. And I'm hoping I get it. Oh, yes. Please let it be a loaf of bread. No, not a crystal amulet. Alright. So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but getting a loaf of bread will equip you with what would be 20 points towards your health. And I think what it says here is that your health is 60. So getting a loaf of bread will essentially increase your health meter by 1/3. While getting an apple will increase it by like 1/4. You'll get 15 points. As you can see here. Oh, no, I was wrong. It wasn't 60 for health. Your health is at 50, so getting a loaf of bread will increase it by more than 1/3. Probably like 40%-ish, somewhere around that area. It seems here that my shield is already semi-protected. It's a little bit weird. The first time I had run this game, it was at a 6, so maybe there's something that's being done inside the game where your shield increases in strength somehow. Either way, a word of advice. The dynamics of this game, and I'm going to take this as an opportunity to go through the accessibility of the game before heading on to the next level. The way this game is designed, it's a very tap and slide type of game. Think a lot like think games like I'm trying to think of one that comes to mind that most of y'all probably would have played. Think of games like Tetris, like mobile Tetris or mobile Pac-Man, where there's essentially no controls, and because there's no controls, you swipe on on a region on the screen, and most of y'all will probably be swiping on the lower half region of the screen towards the center. That's probably the best area where you can reach your thumb. And if you're using your thumb, which will probably be the best finger you can use for this, you're gonna find that you'll be squeezing your finger against the screen a lot, which can be a little bit slow depending on some circumstances. So you might want to try experimenting with certain fingers. With accessibility, I feel like they could have done better. I'm gonna give them a good. I'm gonna give them at the very least 5 for making it intuitive. But they're not gonna get anywhere above 7, particularly because of how we say it, some timing factors, which might put people who are how do we say it, a little bit slower in terms of reflexes at a disadvantage to others. I feel like an easy way they could have fixed this would have probably been to maybe put a tapping system where you can tap with 2 fingers to attack, or maybe a couple buttons at the bottom. I'm not necessarily a game designer, but I am somewhat of a programmer, and accessibility, at least for me, is an important factor. That being said, I don't want to waste your guys' time anymore. Let's get back to the review of the game, because that's what you guys came here to watch. Seeing that I already have a little bit more protection than I thought I would, I'm going to go with the sword. After upgrading your sword, your Bleak Sword will kill bats right away. There we go. I killed it. It's telling me an item is found. Hopefully it's food. Yes, it is a slug. Which, I guess since the French eat snails, it's a type of food. Honestly, I've never tried snails, but I'm assuming a slug is a lot like a snail. I hear snails are good vessels for butter, so there's that. As you can see, it gives you plus 25. Another point of accessibility, and this might be a little bit neurotic, but it would be nicer to have some of the labeling a little bit thicker. For instance, in design, there's this thing called negative space. Essentially, the spacing in between objects on a design. For this, I don't think it would have been that much of a trade-off to move the image of the slug and the word slug higher, in order to increase the size of how much the amount of points you get towards your health, and then to increase the label consumable. But that's not really a huge issue, at least for someone with reasonable eyesight, especially since this is white on black, which is a pretty nice contrast ratio. And I didn't know this, but your inventory can be full. So this is something new we're both learning together. Let's see. Discard this item and pick up a new item. Well, no, I want to see what it... This is weird. Anyways, so I'm assuming these X's really aren't anything. So I'm just going to discard this one. Pick up the slug. Victory. Alright. not like some sort of hyena. It's a werewolf. Alright. Since I'm low on health, I'm gonna choose the health feature, the health upgrade. Though, at some point, I do want to choose the shield. Just to see how useful that is. What I like about the aesthetic of this game is that it's very dynamic. It seems that it does change with every level. See what happens when you die. You get that little skull thing, and then it tells you some information. The stamina bar recovers fully when... I couldn't finish reading. Anyways, I feel like this is a thorough review of at least the first few levels, just so you guys have a feel of it. Overall, for accessibility, as I said, I don't think I gave it a score for accessibility. I might have, but I think I forgot. I did know I wasn't going to give it anything below a 5. For accessibility, just based on the contrast, and you know, I'm going to revise what I said, just based on the font as well, and the game mechanics. For accessibility, I'm giving it somewhere around a 6. But for, you know, aesthetic design, a solid 7. As for the concept of the game, it is an interesting concept, to say the least, and I'm pretty excited to see where this goes, especially with the gems and the Bleak Sword, which might be explained later on, seeing as this seems to be a platformer, but it also seems like it might have a storyline of some sort. With that, I'm going to be signing off, and stay tuned for next video where I'll be completing the next 2 levels and then moving on to the game Sayonara, which is another Apple Arcade exclusive. Anyways, stay tuned, hit that like button, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe if you like the video, because I'll be producing more content like this later. See you beautiful people some other day.